Many years ago, I was living with my girlfriend at the time, and we'd been together for several years. And I loved her so much, and she loved me so much, and I loved being loved by her. And as the days and weeks and years went by, I started finding myself becoming more and more miserable. Something was going on inside of me. I was starting to feel lonely. I was starting to feel depressed. I was really questioning, was this relationship the right fit for me? Is this what I wanted? And over time, I became more depressed, and I kind of withdrew. And I started picking and paying attention to all the negative stuff in the relationship and the negative stuff I was perceiving in her. And it got really exhausting because this went on for a really long time, constantly questioning whether this was what I wanted. And one day in exhaustion, I was done, I was spent, and I snapped. And I told her I was leaving. And I watched her heart break right in front of me. And she said, "Why?" And I didn't have a good answer. I was too numb, I was too exhausted to even tell her what was going on. And I'm not even really sure at the time I knew myself. And so I moved out for 30 days while she got her stuff and moved out of my apartment. When I came back, the place was empty. And I broke down and I wailed. I didn't know a human being could wail. And I wailed and melted into a puddle in the space where the sofa used to be, the one that we'd spent so much time on together. So what happened? What was going on? How did this get to be that point? How is it this woman who I loved and I loved being loved by, who loved me, how come I couldn't include her in what was going on inside of me? No one had ever taught me how. I was afraid of saying something that might hurt her. I was afraid of admitting failure. I was afraid. And all that afraid, it just went into one line of exhaustion and isolation. Okay, so years go by, and I've moved on, but I still count that experience as the second largest regret of my life. And in the years since, I noticed this pattern left and right. I see it at work constantly. I see it in other people's work. I see it in personal relationships all around me. And when I see a pattern in life that I see is going on and no one else is talking about it, I kind of make a little note, and I'm keeping track of all these things. And this one I call Simon's second law. There's a first law and a third and a fourth and a fifth and other laws, and that's a different talk. But Simon's second law goes like this. Are you ready? Never underestimate the days, the weeks, and the years that someone will endure suffering just to avoid a 5-minute awkward conversation. Does that ring true? And what I want you to do, what I would like for you to do after this talk is to take this with you. I want to elevate your consciousness a little bit. I want you to start identifying in your lives and the lives around you when this is going on. And I had a statistics teacher who really drilled into me all these arcane definitions by having us repeat them out loud, almost like mantras. So I would like for you to join me right now, and we're going to repeat this out loud. You will repeat after me, and I want you to do it with full melodrama, because this is dramatic stuff. Are we ready? Okay. Never underestimate. The days, the weeks, and the years that someone will endure suffering just to avoid a 5-minute awkward conversation. Awesome. You guys should all be actors. That's fantastic. Seriously. Thank you. So what's going on? Why does this happen? Well, I look back and I see it around me. I was in my head. I was all up in my head. I didn't know what the outcome was going to be if I tried one thing or the other. And I didn't even know what to do to try to create an outcome. I was stuck in figuring out what to do. And also, I didn't know what I wanted. Do I want to be this woman? Do I not want to be with this woman? Do I want a life partner? Do I not want a life partner? What do I want? What am I going to do? And what are the outcomes? And I was trying to figure it out all up here. Where are my overthinkers in the audience? Do I have any overthinkers in the audience? We're smart people. We're in business. It's natural for us to want to figure it out. But we start to figure it out inside. And when we are in that mode, we're becoming more isolated. It is very exhausting. And we start to withdraw. So the good news is that there's a way out. And I finally found it. And I hope maybe this will help you as well. When you notice that pattern, when I notice that pattern going on with me, it's time for me to stop worrying about what I'm going to do, what I want, and what the outcomes may or may not be. It's time for me just to do one thing, and maybe you guys can try this. I say how I feel. I am disappointed in Peter's work. I really want my boss to appreciate me. I feel lonely in my relationship. I just say how I feel. The feelings get us out of our heads, and sharing those feelings is what starts to create us a connection back to the people around us, and probably even this person who's supposed to be our ally. My girlfriend was my greatest ally in the world. No one was cheering for me harder than her, and I didn't know that I could get that. Now, maybe not everyone in this room is a touchy-feely kind of a person. Maybe feelings don't come easily to the tip of your tongue. And I want to make this really easy for everybody so we don't get stuck in days, months, weeks, and years of suffering. So there's another concept, and Josh Corda calls this concept one of the most powerful things someone can recognize about themselves. And the concept is confusion. Confusion is the great adapter between the facts that we're trying to reconcile and the feelings that those facts are creating. When we are confused, we have multiple facts and we don't know how to plug them in to real life. So for example, Peter is a great employee. I love having him around the office. And I'm really disappointed in Peter's work. And I don't want to feel like a failure as a boss. Or I'm looking up to my boss. I want my boss to be really impressed by the work that I do. And I don't feel like I'm getting enough guidance. And I don't want to feel like a bad employee. Or in the case of my girlfriend and I love this woman so much. And I don't want to hurt her. And I am so sad and I am so lonely. And I don't want to feel like a failure in the relationship. You see, there's that pattern of failure. And so the next thing I want you to practice with me is I just want you to say these 3 words with me together, because if you can say these words out loud, and if you're not ready to say them to your so-and-so person, you can start saying it to yourself and you can start saying it to the people around you. I want you to say this with me. I am confused. I am confused. That was good. It wasn't quite as melodramatic. Let's ramp that up. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I am confused. The moment that you recognize your confusion is the moment you can start to share the fact that you're confused. It is the moment that your days, weeks, and years of suffering end. And yes, you're going to be in that 5-minute awkward conversation, and it's not a cure-all. There might still be pain, there might be still hard work ahead, but you're not alone in that pain. Those years, potentially, of pain are taking a toll, and you might not even know because they build up slowly, and it's numbing. But the minute that you can recognize that, and you can share it, then you're back, and now you have an ally, and now it's out there in front of you. So that's it. That's what I would like you to take away from this, if anything. I want you to look inside yourself, and I want you to see it around you when, this doesn't feel quite right. It didn't feel quite right yesterday. Well, maybe tomorrow I'll have the insight that'll solve this problem. Maybe tomorrow I'll look at my employee in a new way and see his real value so I don't have to go through this pain. Maybe tomorrow I'll wake up and see my girlfriend in a new light, or I'll have a new epiphany. Maybe tomorrow a meteor will destroy the earth and I won't have to deal with any of this. And wouldn't that be a relief? You start to look for outside circumstances to solve your problem for you. So instead of that, I want you to recognize when days have turned into weeks, and I don't want you to let weeks turn into years. And if you can't find your way out, you don't know what else to do, the only thing you have to do to get started, to shed that suffering, is to say, I am confused. And now you can look forward to days, weeks, and years of connectedness and confidence and peace and progress. That's it. Thank you.